So good morning, everyone. And thank you very much for coming today. It's always a pleasure having you in my sessions. And as you see, today we're going to talk about keeping your class interactive and lively. So we're going to discuss some activities, strategies, and techniques for maximum engagement. Let's see our session's objectives. By the end of this session, we will be able to identify characteristics of interactive classroom, EFL classroom, apply practical interactive strategies, use engagement strategies effectively, integrate quick energizers into lessons, and design a more student-centered lesson. So, first of all, what is an interactive classroom? When we say this classroom is interactive, what's your idea? What are your thoughts about interactive classroom? Please, in groups of 3, I want you to discuss this for 2 minutes. What is an interactive classroom? So 1, 2, 3. Please, 1, 2, 3. Yes, 3. 2.
Where no one is bored.
No one is bored. That's really important. So the class should be exciting, interesting, right? Lively. Perfect. Communicative activities and collaborative learning. Great. Wonderful. Yeah. Perfect. Wonderful. All right. So you have mentioned everything, guys. I think we can go home now, right? Oh, you quickly believe it. All right. So, yeah, it's just what you have just mentioned. Students speak more than the teacher. So if this class is interactive, students speak more than the teacher.
STD.
Yes, yes. But the point is, how can we reduce our TTT? We always say that students should speak more. But do you have any suggestions how can we reduce our TTT and increase the STT?
Listen. How do you elicit information from the student? We're giving them prompts, asking them questions all the time, like an investigator in a court. Just give them a question.
So we always try to elicit information from students. Perfect. What else? Great. Yes.
Giving them clear instructions.
Perfect. Clear instructions. And this will help us to save time explaining and explaining again, right? Perfect. Yeah, so most of the exercises should be designed as parent group work. Excellent. Yes.
Walk more, talk less.
Walk more.
Walk more. You walk, you monitor.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
Even if you pretend, you talk less.
Yeah, so do the role of monitor, right?
Especially on the day of the exam.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, great. And also preparation, guys. When we prepare well for our lessons, we know what we have to do in each and every stage, so we save time, right? And we save also effort and TTT. Also, tasks are meaningful. If it is an interactive classroom, tasks should be meaningful. And what do we mean by meaningful here? They are perfect, relevant, and for purpose. Great. For communicative purposes. So all our tasks would be designed for communicative purposes. Great. And also, as Brother Hamid said, learning should be collaborative. So it should be based on what? Yes, great. What else? Perfect. Yes. Group and pair work. Yes. And in a lively classroom, engagement is visible. How can it be visible?
Motivation.
Great. Motivation is clear. Students are motivated. Yeah, what else? Students feel that their efforts are appreciated, right? Feedback is continuous. If this class is interactive, that means feedback is continuous. How? How the feedback can be continuous? Because sometimes people delay the feedback till the end of the lesson, till the end of the unit maybe, right? But if it is continuous feedback, that means It's ongoing process. Yeah, immediate feedback. So after the activity, after the task and so on, it's ongoing process. Yeah. All right. So finally, the environment is safe. Yeah. So why? Why it should be safe?
No embarrassment.
Perfect. Friendly, no embarrassment. What else?
Students can say anything they like. They shouldn't be afraid.
Afraid of what?
Like, for example,
Being criticized.
Yes.
or maybe if I spoke this, I could be wrong. No problem.
So they shouldn't be afraid of making mistakes, right? They should know that mistakes is something normal and it's part of our life, right? And we learn from our mistakes. Yeah, great. No affective filters. Should be low state class, right? Why engagement matters more with young adults? You know, our students are young adults. And ELT researchers say that engagement really matters with young adults. And young adult learners disengage faster and for different reasons. So they disengage faster. First of all, do you agree or disagree with this statement? And what are your thoughts about this statement? So please, in 2 minutes, discuss this in your groups. So, adult learners disengage faster and for different reasons. Do you agree or disagree?
Agree.
Yeah. How?
Fasting can cause them to disengage faster.
All right. Thank you. Yes, brother. I'm sorry. Yes.
They've got other things on their mind, so that could play a part.
Yes, that's right.
Mobile phone addiction.
Exactly.
Drowsing all the time.
Yeah, they have lots of reasons to disengage, right? Perfect. Yes.
I think young adults are moving from externally imposed learning to self-directed learning. So that's why engagement is very
Wonderful. Yes. All right. So research in ELT shows that young adults bring life experience, strong opinions, and high expectations to the classroom. They are different from school students. So unlike young learners, they need to see the relevance of what they are learning. They should know the purpose for what they are doing in class. They will not take everything for granted. Yes. So as Brother Riyadh said, in adult education or andragogy, it shows that adults are self-directed, goal-oriented, and motivated by real-world applications. So when lessons feel abstract or passive, attention drops quickly. All right. So as Brother Noor said, Dr. Noor said, adults juggle work, family, and fatigue, so they feel that their time is precious. All right? So they need to feel respected as capable, experienced individuals. They are not young kids. Relevance and purpose are the two biggest drivers of adult engagement. So relevance and purpose. Low-stakes participation reduces anxiety and builds confidence. So a lively classroom is built lesson by lesson, not in one session. Yeah. So now let's move to the practical part of our session. Here we have 3 pillars of interactive classroom: interaction, relevance, and autonomy. Research said that these pillars drive students' engagement, and these are 3 core principles underpin every effective lesson. So in your groups, please, I want you to discuss the 3 pillars: interaction, relevance, and autonomy, and how they are important for interactive classroom. What is their role in a lively classroom? Please start for 2 minutes. So, when it comes to interaction, you know, we always say that learners need to talk to each other, not just the teacher, okay? And there should be some different patterns of interaction, like student-teacher, peer work, and group work. And the content should be relevant and connects to real life and the learner's goals. Yeah. For example, we tackle topics like job interviews, travel, and so on. Yeah. When it comes to, autonomy, so learners need to make choices about topics and tasks. So we need to involve them sometimes in task design, sometimes in decisions in class and so on, like student-led discussions and choice boards. Do you remember we talked about choice boards when we discussed differentiated activities? Anyway, we will see an example now. So, when these three pillars, interaction, relevance, and autonomy, are present in our classroom, students feel invested, respected, and motivated to participate. Researchers say that warm-up and lead-in are the two most important stages, and sometimes they consider them as one stage. And this stage, or the first 5 minutes, are the most important stage in our classroom. So, the first 5 minutes set the tone for the entire lesson. Do you agree or disagree? Please discuss this for 2 minutes. No, give me reasons why they are. I know that most of us agree, but why? 2 minutes, please discuss this. All right. So, why is this stage really important for a lively and interactive classroom? The warm-up stage, or warm-up and lead-in stage. Yes, brother.
To lengthen the lifespan of the classroom's engine.
Wonderful. Yeah, of course. Start your day right. Yeah, yes. But here we don't mean only the warm-up stage, but also the lead-in. What about the lead-in stage? Yeah. Yes.
Because like you set the goals and the objectives of the lesson, and if the students feel that they can apply in their life or no. So it is relevant to their life, they feel interested. If not, then they will be like bored.
Yeah. So, imagine that we enter the classroom in the morning. What is the situation? How do most of our students feel and look like?
Some is tired. Some is
Tired, yeah. Maybe didn't have enough sleep. Yeah.
reserved.
Yeah.
So you need to dissipate attention and to draw attention.
Great. A well-chosen warm-up activates prior knowledge, lowers affective filters, and signals that this class where everyone speaks. So effective warm-ups for adults are short. This should be like 2 or 3 minutes, low stakes, and immediately relevant. So here we have some sample warm-up activities. We have truths and a lie, word association chain, stand up if, hot seat question, and news headline reaction. So I want you to work in groups of 3 and try to share your ideas and thoughts about these warm-up activities. If you don't have much information about it, please Google it or use AI to find some information about it. And please, then you will share the information with class or with the audience. What should we do as teachers? Okay, let me listen to group 1 here, and then I'll get back to you. Yes, how do we play this game in class?
We can tell them about 2 facts, maybe, like Jeddah is in KSA. This is the truth now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Allah, example, it tends to snow heavily in Jeddah.
All right, but now when we do it in class, can you think about some steps and procedures? So, for example, I will tell my students that you're going to work in groups, and each one of you should think of 2 truths, 2 true facts, for example, and 1 a lie. About himself, maybe. All right? So if I am reviewing vocabulary, I can say, I like vegetables, I like fruit, I don't like fish, for example. Okay? So each student will think of 3 statements, 2 truths, and 1 lie. And then the other students will try to do what? To guess which one is the lie. Right? So, yeah, it's a speaking activity, and we can use it to review vocabulary, even grammar sometimes. Like when you give 3 facts, you'll use a present simple. When you give 3 facts about the past or past experience. So you will review the past simple and so on.
I
Okay.
think we have a task in the book called the Reading Between the Lines.
Yes. The lies, yes. All right. So, word association chain, which group? Yes, group 2. Where is group 2 here? Okay. So let me start left this time. Yeah. So,
The objective of this game is to activate prior knowledge related to a particular maybe theme or lesson or lesson. And also it encourages quick thinking and also interaction, speaking.
great.
So for example, the teacher comes up with a word related to food. The second student say, for example, pizza. The next student says, I don't know, cheese, then maybe cow, then farm, and it goes.
Great. Wonderful. Wonderful. So the words should be connected and relevant to each other, and especially relevant to the previous word. Good. Would you like to add anything, please? Yeah.
For example, our topic we are teaching is, the theme is lost passport.
Yeah.
So we can ask them different questions like, okay, give me a few words about traveling. Okay, related to links with traveling. So they give, okay, passport, cab, airport, things like that.
Yeah.
And then we move to, okay, if you lose something, so we can ask different questions, because we want to bring them to the topic. If we lose something which is very important, what is that thing? So that can bring the students to the topic, okay, we can lose our luggage, we can lose anything else, and finally, we can bring them to the most important thing, that's passport. So actually, they have done the job, and now
Yeah.
they're ready.
Perfect. Great. So we can use it as warm-up activity, like when they say, for example, if someone says, the teacher writes a banana, okay? So one of the students will say, monkey, for example. Then I can ask them why. So they should say in the group, why are you selecting this word? You said monkey. Why? Because monkeys like bananas. Good. What is the next word? For example, tree. Why are you saying tree? Because, and so on. Yeah. Yeah.
We can, have a competition. For example, you divide the class into groups, and you give them different themes, and you ask each student, the group that finishes first, for example, is the winner.
Okay. What about asking the whole class to work on the same word, and we see the different answers? And by the way, it is suggested that by the end of the activity, you ask them, what is your last word? So what is your first word and what is your last word? So we'll see the last word here is different from the last word there, and that's really interesting. And then we think, how can we connect these words together? How they are relevant to each other? And if you use it for reviewing vocabulary items from the previous lesson, for example, we can ask them that all the words should be relevant to the first word, like climate, for example. So all the words should be relevant to climate. If we use it just as a warm-up activity, not necessarily all the words are relevant to the first one, but to the last one, to the previous word directly. The other group, you are number 3, right? Group number 3 here. Where's group 3? Would you like to add anything to what?
You already explained almost everything.
Yeah.
Stand if you like football, stand if you speak 2 languages, something like that. And so they get motivated actually. So the lesson will move on forward.
Yes. And as Mr. Muhammad said, we can use it to review vocabulary. Stand up if you have, for example, if you're wearing, or grammar, like stand up if you have ever eaten sushi, for example. Yeah. Right? If you have ever been outside Saudi Arabia, and so on. Yeah. And we can have a variation like, if you don't want to stand up, you can raise your hand up if. Right? Okay. So, hot seat question. So what can you tell me about this activity and how can we apply it in class?
In part of a group.
Yeah.
The rest of the group ask good questions.
Yes, the answer quickly. And it's around one subject.
Great.
It's 60 seconds and then you rotate.
Perfect. What else? Yes.
The goal of this warm-up is not the vocabulary, is basically to develop the confidence among your students, to increase their fluency, and even to make them feel safe. Like the way Brother said, like the students he takes one seat, and he is the speaker, and all other guys, they are the participants, they ask him the question based on the topic. But let's suppose, as Brother Amir gave the example of the topic traveling, so they can ask him, like, have you been, like, this place, how was that place? Open-ended question. So that every student get the chance to speak and to ask the question. But I think, like, this hard seat question is a time-taking activity. Like, if you have, let's suppose, like 30 students or 20 students, so if everybody given a chance to speak and the others to ask questions, so it won't be like a warm-up, it will be a whole lesson.
Yeah, but I agree with you. But for example, if I have the hot seat here, okay, and the student sitting like that, and I have a word behind me that I can't see, okay, so I have the word, for example, endangered, for example. Yeah, and the students, my team, will try to give me some clues, yes, some hints to guess the word. And they are not allowed to use body language because it's easy. They're not allowed to use secret words. They're not allowed to use the same word, of course. And then I will try to guess the word. Once I guess the word, I go back and another student will come from the other team and so on. So I think it will be interesting. And of course, you don't have to do it with the whole class. Maybe 3 students from each team. Yes. So this is how we play it. All right. The last one, news headline reaction. Any ideas about this activity? What is group 5? You? Yeah.
Maybe if you divide the students in a group, they work in groups, and then you give them a group of events. And then you see how they respond to bad news and good news.
All right. Great. Yeah. What else? Group 5.
Basically, you would flash up like a headline.
Yes.
Maybe of an event, or maybe something made up. And
Yeah.
one of the first things you would do, is this a true headline or a false headline? Or what do you think about it? Like that.
Yeah.
Reaction
Exactly.
to the headline.
Exactly. And of course, we should try to avoid, political news. Yeah. So no politics. But we can, the headline can be about sports, education, and so on. Something funny. All right. So let's move to speaking activities that maximize talking time. So, as we had just said, we need to reduce teacher talking time and maximize student talk time, right? So, of course, TTT is one of the most common mistakes that most people do in class. So, and our goal is to create structured opportunities for learners to speak as much as possible. So, here we have some high-impact activity that we can use to maximize STT, student talking time, like information gap tasks, debate and discussion circles, speed networking, role plays with real scenarios, and jigsaw reading. Again, to save time, the same groups, all right? And for 3 minutes, please try to brainstorm ideas about these activities. All right, my dear colleagues, thank you very much. Let me listen to your insights. So let's start with team 1. Information gap tasks. Listen, please. May I have your attention, please? Yes.
Students ask what he wants to do in the morning. The others just need to answer him. They use simple present when they talk to form full meaningful sentences.
Great. Any other ideas? Yeah.
Students two students or different students might have information about Cristiano Ronaldo, for example. Other students don't have this information. And the students might ask the other students about the information. The other students, according to what they have, they give them the information.
Great. Perfect. Yes? Anything to be added here?
Yeah, we can divide students to 2 groups, okay, and give them schedules. And these schedules are plans, okay, that are missing information. So there is missing information in them. So students will use the present simple or the present continuous to ask questions, okay, to fill in the blanks.
Yes. Great. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So each partner has whole different information they must speak to complete the task. Okay. Debate, discussion circles, group 2. Group 2, Abdul Karim and his team. Discussion circles.
Students in a circle.
Yeah.
The teacher asks question, then they respond, and the others can agree or disagree. This is a circle.
Yeah.
Debate and split the class into two, for and against. Give a question, and then they can agree or disagree, and then the other side can either respond to the opinion.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. Anything to be added here? Would you like to add anything? What they have just mentioned?
Yeah, we can give them topics. For example, discussion. Okay, what makes a good friend, and they get the points. They discuss, and then one by one, each group finally presents. One of them presents.
Great. So, as you have just said, we assign roles. We have moderator, devil's advocate, summarizer, and so on. Yeah. Yeah, it's this template. It's playing with me. All right. So, next one, speed networking. What is group number 3? Yes.
Speed networking is obviously when we pay students and we do it very quickly. It works perfectly for students to get to know one another at the beginning of a term, for example, just exchanging information about who they are, things that they like, and so on. Yeah.
It's a kind of speaking act.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's right. Thank you very much. Yeah. Anything to be added for group networking? Very good. So we can have 2 rows facing each other and they ask questions and then they may change roles, right? Yeah. Or change partners. And sometimes they do the speed networking in circles. Like we have outer circle and inner circle. Okay? Facing each other. So for example, that's a circle and we have another circle here. So I am talking to Brother Tuan. Okay, I ask him a question and he answered, and then he asks me, then I move to Dr. Abdullah and so on. Okay. So what about role plays with real scenarios? Yes?
Role plays are the activities where the students act out real life situations. For example, they take the roles of a shop assistant, or someone asking for where the bank is. So using natural language, and the focus here is on communication rather than accuracy. So we give the students the confidence so that when they go to the outside world, they can use the language.
Great, great, thank you. Anything else to be added here? All right, thank you. Yeah, so finally, jigsaw reading and listening. Group 5, yes?
Again, they work in a group. Maybe we give them a story. Each group has a piece or part of the story. They work on it. And then when they have finished, maybe each group would have another member from a different group. Would they have to tell them their part of the story? And then we regroup them. They reconnect the story. In the end, maybe they work on a task where you give them a questions about the whole story, they answer the questions.
Great, great. Okay, thank you. So, students should speak at least 60 or 70% of class time, and that's why most of the activities should be designed as parent group work, or we use such kind of activities to keep them talking all the time. All right. So, okay. Done with taking photos? So, games and gamification for learners. You know, young adults love games, and when they feel purposeful, not childish. So, of course, we have noticed that in our classrooms, most students like doing educational games, right? So, gamification works because it adds stakes, competition, and fun without the pressure of formal assessment. So, the key is framing. Adults respond well to all games that feel like challenges, not childish activities. So here we have some examples of games. We have vocabulary bingo, story dice, team trivia with language twists, Kahoot and Wayground, 20 questions. So again, I want you to share your thoughts on these games and how we can apply them in our classroom. Please think about the procedure, how we can apply them, and some examples. So students create and receive a grid. It can be 3 times 3 or 5 times having fun. And if they can, for example, complete horizontal, right, or vertical or diagonal, they say bingo. Yes.
This is, of course, a game that encourages maybe speaking or writing.
Yes.
You can come up with different rolls of dice and divide it into groups.
Yes.
So on the dice, there are different images. So the first student rolls the dice and starts the story. The second student has another image. He should, continue the story, linking the second image to the first.
Perfect.
And then, of course, they can come and discuss whether, it makes sense or doesn't make sense. Sometimes it's fine, it doesn't make any sense. So.
Yeah. Great. Yes. All right. So finally, team trivia with language twists, team 5. Where's team number 5? Yes,
We actually don't really question, so we're discussing this now.
I think it's about asking trivia questions about the language.
Yeah. General information. Yes. So would you like to add anything, this team? Yeah. I see. Yeah, so we asked general questions and then we use some language twisters in grammar, for example, to make it more challenging. Yes. So we need to explain the language purpose behind each game. So adults engage more when they understand the why. Generally, we need to... So it's not just playing game or doing game, but we are doing this to, for example, to review the present perfect. We are doing this to practice the tense that we have just studied and so on. So this is really interesting and we'll not spend much time on it. Movement and energy boosters. So physical movement resets focus and rebuilds energy mid-lesson. Sometimes after sitting for a long time, like what we're doing now, we need to do some movement, right? We need to stand up, we need to change. Yeah. So sitting for long periods reduces concentration and engagement. So when our students sit down in class for 3 hours or even for 1 hour, they lose concentration and also engagement. So we need to incorporate some brief movement activities, even in small classrooms. So this dramatically improves energy levels and retention. So what kind of activities can we, incorporate in our classrooms to encourage students to move? We have gallery walk. So we can post some questions or prompts around the room and students walk around and respond on sticky notes. Post some questions, they walk around, read, and respond. Okay, yes. Mingle activities, so we give them something like a questionnaire. They go around the class, they interview some partners, they write down the answers, and then they share the answers in their groups or with the whole class. Stand and share. That's really interesting activity. You can use this because generally, if you feel that students are bored or tired and they need to stand up and move, we can't say just stand up and move around the class. This is crazy, right? It's illogical. Why should we stand up and move around the class? So it should be for a purpose, right? So after any activity, after group work or after peer work, instead of sharing the answers with the same group, please stand up and share the answers with the other group. So now we're giving them a purpose for standing up and moving. Four corners is an interesting activity. So we label corners with opinions, like strongly agree, agree, strongly disagree, disagree. All right, the four corners. And students move and justify their position. So if I stand up here, I strongly disagree. And people will come and ask me, why do you strongly disagree? And so on. So it's interesting activity. Board relay and board race. So teams race to write vocabulary, grammar corrections, or answers on the board. Like we have a sentence here with a mistake, and we have two teams. So they run to the board to, if they find the mistake and correct it, or they run to the board to write the words. So there is a lot of movement here. So these movement activities are really important and can restore attention and group energy. Done with taking photos? Okay. Of course, using technology is an important pillar for lively and interactive classrooms. So digital tools extend engagement beyond the classroom. Yeah, so it's not only engagement, but learners build 21st century skills that they need in their professional contexts and their future careers when they use technology. So here we have some sample tools. We have Padlet and Mentimeter, Flipgrid, Google Jamboard, and WhatsApp and Telegram. So, Padlet, what do we use it for? Collaborative learning, collaborative writing, and Mentimeter, it's for live polls and for vocabulary clouds, like opinion polls, for example, and vocabulary brainstorm. We have the Flipgrid. It's for video responses. So we can ask students to record a short video for themselves and share it. And we have Telegram and WhatsApp for out-of-class interaction, like daily vocabulary challenge or voice message tasks. Here, we are talking about differentiation, and I think most of you have attended my session on differentiation and Mr. Ahmed Jan's session, so I just want to highlight this, that differentiation ensures no learner is left behind. When you use differentiated activities, we make sure that even slow learners or slow achievers are working, are participating. So here we have some sample of differentiated activities. That's really important pillar for lively and interactive classroom. It's building positive classroom culture. So psychological safety is the foundation of all participation. Students will not speak, take risks, or make mistakes unless they feel safe. So positive classroom culture is deliberately cultivated through teacher behavior routines and norms. So we need to establish clear co-created norms, co-created expectations, like we involve them in designing activities. We involve them in decision-making in class. Normalize errors and celebrate mistakes. Use inclusive language and invite groupthink. What do you mean by inclusive language here? Language that avoids discrimination, avoids, segregation, okay, and so on. Acknowledge contributions and validate effort, appreciate their efforts. And vary participation formats. Like, it's not always peer work for oral discussions, right? We can have peer work for writing activity. They can write in pairs or in groups. So when students feel respected and safe, they take linguistic risks. And that's where real learning happens. All right, here we have a summary of the tools we have just mentioned. And finally, start small, stay consistent, and watch your class come alive. So if we want to transform our class from passive class into interactive class, this doesn't require a complete overhaul. It just needs some deliberate changes and create lasting shifts in your class culture and learner engagement. And here we have action plan for this. So number one, we can choose one warm-up from the toolkit we have just shared and use it every lesson for 2 weeks. Identify one speaking activity that fits your current unit and try it this week, or maybe after 2 weeks, the week after next. Reflect after each class. What worked well? What would I change? Share strategies with colleagues. So peer reflection accelerates growth. And revisit this toolkit, the one we have just shared, regularly, and build your personal repertoire over time. So, finally, Benjamin Franklin says, tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. So, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for coming today. And see you later, inshallah.